Welcome, everyone, to Nerd of the Rings. We are here for episode 7. Only 2 episodes left. Yeah, there are 8. Key23 asking in the chat how many episodes are left. It is tonight and next week, and that is it. That is it. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the chat. I'm pretty awake today, I have to say. I do have an energy drink, but I'm pretty awake. Doing pretty well. How are you guys doing? Are you awake? I always wonder how many people are like dozing off watching these streams. All right, so we've got tonight's episode, 1 episode next week, and then that is a wrap on season 2. Kind of crazy. That 3-episode drop at the premiere really sped things up. That was a rough week, I will say, trying to put together all those breakdowns in 1 week, or in a matter of hours, really. Shout out to Mitchell. Sorry, Mitchell McGrath for joining as a YouTube member. Much appreciated. All right, let's see what the comments. Oh, I was just going through the regular chat when Christopher's super chat popped up. Christopher says, spoil the finale for us. We know you already saw it. I did, actually. Yes. For those of you who don't know, yeah, I actually just got back earlier today from New York. They had a bunch of folks there watching the last 2 episodes. So I've seen them. I am not going to spoil them because that's no fun. You guys want to see them. You guys want to see it for yourself. You don't want me to spoil it. I have a lot of thoughts, if you can imagine such a thing. So I'm actually, it's kind of fun because I'm going to be able to watch the chat a little more than I usually do. Usually I'm pretty locked in. I'm locked into the episode. But tonight, I'm going to, like, there's certain moments where I really want to see what people think about a couple moments. Yeah, so I'm going to be paying attention to your chat. So feel free to put your thoughts in as soon as it happens. Yeah, but I will share here. Let's pull this up. I'll share this. Because I think this is the crowd that would appreciate it. I decided to do a Tom Bombadil inspired outfit. So there's the outfit that I wore. Got a hat, a little blue feather, yellow shoes, jacket, blue suit. That's my Tom Bombadil look. So there you go. Chatted with Ismail Cruz Cordova for a bit. Really nice guy. Very hardworking too. I've talked with a lot of the stunt guys like Luke Hawker, Jed Brophy, and stuff. A lot of guys who played the orcs, and lots of great things to say about Ismail. And he's a really nice guy. Every time I've chatted with him, really like him. Good morning from Texas, 1:30 Central Standard Time. I would imagine there's a lot of time zones in Texas, probably. It's a big state. Thanks for the super chat, by the way, Scott. And good morning to you, deep in the heart of Texas. Monica says, Matt, I'm so excited to see the Vigo interview. Yes. Yeah, that's in the pinned comment. We've got the link. That will be premiering on Tuesday, October 1st. So less than a week. Had a wonderful chat with Mr. Viggo Mortensen. Yeah, it's been fun to see people freaking out in the comments of that video, and then also like when I post it on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. But yeah, we have a great little chat about all kinds of stuff. Westerns, his new movie that he wrote, directed, acted in, produced, and composed music for. I think that's all the hats that he wore, but there was a lot of hats. Christopher Carbaugh, thanks for the super chat. Turn my lights green. Look at that. Matches really well color-wise, I have to say. I think I did a pretty good job assigning that color. All right. Christopher says, seems Corey thinks they are doing Gandalf the Blue versus Alatar adaptation of Blue Wizards. Bummer, but I guess we have to accept if true missed opportunity. Yeah, I have been Team Blue Wizard all the way. And oh, someone said it was out. Is it out? Oh, that's weird. Let me see. It's not out for me yet. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know why you would do Gandalf the Blue though. That's where I land on it. Yeah. We'll get into more detail on that. Again, I'm not going to spoil stuff for you, but I'm on Team Blue Wizard, and I always have been. Simon says, "Was it overall good? Just say yes, please." Okay, so I have some caveats. Like I said, there's some moments over these next 2 weeks that I'm very curious to see what the chat does. Yeah, I really don't want to spoil things for you guys. I will say that so far in season 2, I think season 2 is a definite improvement over season 1, and that has not changed after seeing the last 2 episodes. And my favorite of season 2 has been Anatar and Celebrimbor, and that holds true through the end of the season. So there you go. That's what I'll tell you. Matthew Reese, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you. So awesome to see you live. Love your channel. Well, thanks. I'm excited that you're here live. What time is it for you, Matthew? Is it some ungodly hour? Most of the world it is. Right now, it seems like. I don't know if okay, so Parmigiano said safe answer. I don't know if it's a safe answer. It's the non-spoiler answer. I don't want to spoil things for you. We'll get into it. Like we'll be covering episode 7 here real soon. What I can tell you about the last 2 episodes is that they are the last 2 episodes. That's pretty good. I don't think I was quite that bad. Hey, there we go. Philippines. Where's everybody tuning in from? We're getting Brazil, Philippines. Let me know in the comments. Type it in the live chat. Let's see what the results of the poll are. Okay. Which elf do you want to most see fight in the Siege of Eregion? Elrond wins it with 45%, followed by Gil-galad. That's a good. I like the Gil-galad choice because he's got a dope spear. Then Galadriel and Arondir are each with single digits. So you guys are all about Elrond and Gil-galad. Tucson, Arizona, Czech Republic, Greece, Memphis, Singapore, Michigan, Oakland. All right. Vegas. Pretty good number. Okay. Yeah, we got a good spattering all over the place. I figured there'd be some West Coasters because this is not like a crazy time for you guys. It's like 11:30 at night. Like that's not the insanity of it being 2:30 in the morning on the East Coast here. Michael Kelly, thank you so much for the super chat. 1:40 in Memphis, Tennessee, Central Time. Yes or no, can we at least refer to the stranger by a name by the end of the season? See, now we're getting into spoilers. I can't give you spoilers, man. I can't give you spoilers. I mean, they've been hyping up his name all season. There's been a lot of references to his name. So I think we'll I think we'll see a resolution to that storyline. I'll say that. Adam Scarf, thank you so much for the super chat. Yellowknife. What is NT? Shoot. I don't know provinces. Northwest Territories. Oh, okay. Yellowknife is a cool name, by the way, for a city. Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, Canada. Can't wait to watch 1 a.m. Nice. Thank you, guys. Yeah, see, people know Northwest Territories. Hey, Second Breakfast Club is here. First time staying up to watch this at 3 a.m. And you've already seen it. I feel cheated. But see, now I get to like watch you guys react in the live chat, which will be fun. It'll be a little different. So I already have a bunch of notes written down, which is fun too. TN, thanks so much for the $5 super chat. Random / unrelated to Lord of the Rings, aside from being fantasy, Matt, are you a fan of the Wheel of Time books? Curious if you like the show. Hi from Seattle. So Wheel of Time, I've seen both seasons of the show. I think I like the second season better. See, it's been a while. I've only watched each season once. Yeah. I have not read the books. So I have no barometer for how they are as an adaptation. Like it seemed, like a pretty it's like, okay, that was an okay fantasy show. It didn't like stick with me. Some of like especially in the first season, like I definitely got like the Tolkien influence vibes. I can't even remember what they're called, but like they had, essentially like Nazgul coming after him and stuff, which amused me. What I have gotten into, so this is kind of tangential. There's a connection here between Wheel of Time. I have been getting into the works of Brandon Sanderson big time. I starting in April, I think it was April. No, June. Starting in June, I set out on a mission to catch up from Go to catch up to everything in the Cosmere before Wind and Truth comes out in December. And I've made like some really good progress. I am 3 books deep into Stormlight. I'm 1 book away from finishing all 7 Mistborn. And I've also read Warbreaker. So I need to do Elantris and like 1.5 more Stormlight books, and then a couple novellas, and then I'm good to go. So it's been like drinking from a fire hose a little bit. But there you go. Yeah. Not exactly what you asked, but there was a connection there. Nicholas Dalton, thanks for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Christopher Carball, who is more critical of the finale, you or Corey? Okay, so I say this in good fun because I'm friends with Corey and I love Corey. I don't know that he's ever been more critical than I have been. Like, yeah. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone less critical than Corey. So, um, but we didn't talk a whole lot, honestly, in full disclosure. Like we got done and because of flights back and everything, there wasn't a whole lot of uh chat time that I had with Corey anyway. I talked to some of the other folks for quite a while afterwards, but I think he had travel plans earlier in the day. So yeah. Yeah, I definitely say that I was. But I don't think that would be a surprise. Um, yeah. Nicholas Dalton. Hey, I was wondering if the stranger is in fact a blue wizard due to the fact Gandalf uh not traveling to the east. Yeah, so that's like one of the big quotes that um that people point to and say it doesn't make sense for him to be in Rune because he says specifically I don't go to the east when he's like it's Faramir's quote that was originally what Gandalf had told him. Um giving all his names for the places that different places. So like the dwarves call him Tharkun, which is a cool name, by the way. But yeah, and then he says to the east, I go not, I believe. Something like that. Something to that effect. So yeah. I don't think, obviously all the indications so far this season have been like all the grand elf and the quotes, reusing the quotes from like Fellowship and stuff that kind of point the Secret Fire stuff, granted Secret Fire, like technically all 5 wizards should be servants to the Secret Fire. So like that kind of checks out no matter who he is. Yeah. So Thomas, thank you so much for the super chat. Salute from Brazil. Still awake just to see the new episode. Hope it doesn't disappoint me. It's 3 hours 3:42 a.m. now in southern Brazil. Said the stranger was Gandalf since the start. Just followed my nose. There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think so this is not me revealing anything. I'm just saying like for a while now, I've been saying the smart money's on Gandalf just because of all the hints that have been dropped. Like there's been a lot of them. Some of them subtle, some of them not subtle. So Matthew Reese, how about the Netflix upcoming Narnia series? Have you seen the preview of Magician's Nephew? I am very intrigued by that. I love the Narnia series. It's great. It's not nearly as high on my list of beloved properties or beloved series as something, as Tolkien obviously, but it's on that top 10 list probably somewhere. The preview of Magician's Nephew, that was actually done by a buddy of mine who did like he runs Into the Wardrobe, I think. Is that right? Is that who posted it? Now I'm double guessing myself. Who posted it? Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah, it was my buddy over at Into the Wardrobe. He like made a fan made trailer, used some like AI stuff to do like video work on it and stuff. So that's not like anything official. Um, but yeah, I saw some bits of it. I'm curious when they'll start announcing stuff for that. I hope soon. Like it's seems like ages ago. Like I want to say the Narnia thing got announced around the time of season 1 of Rings of Power or something crazy like that. Like it's been forever. Sage Sharma, having finished the season, are you interested to see where the story goes, or could you care less now that the season's over? I would say I am, like I said earlier, I think season 2 is definitely better than season 1, which naturally makes me more intrigued going into season 3 than I was going into season 2. Because obviously, like season 1, I said this in my pretty long review, if you recall, hour and 15-minute long review. There was nothing really canon for the show to hang its hat on and say like, here, look what we adapted from the books. Like it was, just a lot of original storylines, and I obviously had a lot of issues with the shortcomings of season 1, and especially the creation of the 3 rings. So yeah, I think I'm not like just losing my mind over, you know, how the season as a whole went necessarily, but I'm more interested after seeing season 2 than I was after seeing season 1. So there you go. You guys just keep prodding, don't you? You just want to know stuff. Simon, thanks so much for the super chat. Can we expect a kind of an opening to season 3 in the finale? And if yes, is it promising? Uh I'm not 100% sure what you're asking. Like, is there oh, you mean like how Marvel leads into the next thing kind of thing? Um, I don't think so. If there is, I don't remember it. I mean, I think some things, you know, get like they leave off like they're not fully resolved obviously because there's still more seasons. Um, so things might be hinted at, I guess. Yeah. Luis Montez, you're not being more hyped on the sack of Eregion ending than the Anatar reveal. They totally put Gandalf in the second age. I'm not confirming or denying that. I'm saying I'm just repeating what I've said already. Um, I don't know. I just feel like the Anatar Celebrimbor stuff has been the strongest of the season, and um, yeah, like there's battle stuff going on, but I gravitate more toward the characters, um, than necessarily just a battle where you're just, seeing people getting taken out. Like it's cool to see that battles and stuff. Um, but yeah, no, I've been a I've been a fan of the way that Anatar and Celebrimbor has played out for the most part. I feel like that's the strongest part of the season, and I think that continues. Yeah. Jam art without revealing spoilers. I like this already. What was the thing you were hoping to see in the final episode prior to seeing it? Oh, uh, I think it was that, like the conclusion of Anatar and Celebrimbor's story. Yeah, Like I said, I feel like that's been the strongest one. The strongest of the storylines this season. And so, yeah, naturally that was the one that I was looking forward to. And yeah, I think we'll see some progress in that direction this episode. Here in about 5 minutes, by the way. Predict Rohan arriving at Gondor. Oh, you mean like a callback to the um Rohan at Gondor thing. I gotcha. Oscar, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Oh, Christopher Carball, did you get the Tolkien unreleased poem set? So it's like a huge collection. It's still in the shrink wrap. I need to record an unboxing for it, but there it is. Tolkien's poems. It's a beautiful set. Look at that thing. It's gonna take me a while to read through all these. But yeah, that was a genius idea for them to put a box set of his poems together, and Hammond and Skull put it together. You know it's gonna be good. 3 minutes left, ladies and gents. It's so weird. When I refresh the page, it takes me off the episodes page. It's kind of annoying. Anyway. Will they wear wigs? I think they will. Hey, Epic Kingdom, how's it going, man? Design Q. Yeah. Yeah, I saw the last 2 episodes yesterday. So, I'm going to be paying very close attention to the chat. And I might even be typing with you guys in the chat. I don't want to like talk through the episode because I know there's a good number of people who don't want, get annoyed when someone talks through an episode or talks through a movie. I'm one of those people. It drives me nuts when people talk in like a movie theater and stuff. But yes, I'll be chatting and I'll be watching your guys' reactions. There's one moment in particular that I am just dying to see the reactions to. Yeah, Jamart, I'm not going to talk through the episode. That was exactly my point. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Wiley, thank you so much for the super chat. After seeing everything in season 2, is there anything that you look back on season 1 more positively? Ooh. Huh. That's a really good question. This is one I might have to think on a bit. Honestly, I think one of the things that I kind of liked about season 2 is that, and again, this is like going back to how I felt about season 1. I feel like any future rewatches I do, I can skip season 1 and I would just go straight to season 2 if I were to rewatch this. So, yeah, I don't know if there's anything. Yeah, I don't think there was anything in season 2 that just was like, oh, that's makes me like this in season 1 more. I don't think I ever had that moment personally. Oh, we're getting there. Should we refresh? Any minute now. Any minute. Big ZZ, thank you so much for the super chat. New Zealand dollars. We got a Kiwi with us here. Hi, I've read The Hobbit and Silmarillion and have bought Unfinished Tales. What is a high recommendation for another book from you to me? So you've bought Unfinished Tales. I would get Children of Hurin. Children of Hurin. I'll give you two recommendations: Children of Hurin and Fall of Numenor. Fallen Numenor is a compilation and a chronological collection of the entire Second Age. And Children of Hurin is a great self-contained story. One of my absolute favorites of Tolkien's. All right. Whoa, that's a really big timer. Let's maybe we can fix that. Maybe. Whoa, that's an even bigger timer. Holy smokes. Sorry. Oh, this is massive. There we go. There it is. We got there. We got there in the end. Bigger. Full screen timer. Okay. We'll give it a couple minutes because I know people are refreshing. It's popping up for people. Be sure to refresh your browser and stuff. Or refresh your app if you got it on your or your TV or something. And then we'll give it a countdown. Oh, this episode, by the way, is called Doomed to Die. So I will count it down. I'm going to count it down from 9 since we're talking about the 9 rings, I guess. Because why not? Someone last time said counting down from 5 was too short. So I'll count down from 9. I'm sure that'll drive some people crazy to count down from a really random number like that. But we're going to do it. Okay. Here we go. See, it even feels weird to start the counter with 9, but I'm going to do it. Okay. In 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys. I'll give a chance for the folks who had ads to catch up while we have the poll going. So, what did you guys think of the episode? I gotta say, the moment that I was curious what the reactions would be did not disappoint. uh, Michael Real, thanks for the $10 super chat. Did George R. R. Martin write this? Kissing your mother-in-law. Right off the bat. Right off the bat, we get into it. Oh man. Yeah, that was a little Twilight for my taste, guys. And I haven't even seen Twilight. But from what I have seen of Twilight, that's what I imagine. Feel like the baggage that comes with that. Yeah, no, the kiss was clearly, yeah, like he was the main objective there was to give her the pin. I think where I land on it is it probably wasn't it probably wasn't the only way to do it, right? Yeah. So David Hoy says in the chat, it was obviously a deception to hinder an item, but it'll overshadow everything else and was unnecessary. Yeah. That's where I land on it too. Like it could have been the forehead. It could have been a hug. Like, yeah. Like and I mean the music swelling like adds to it and everything too. Adds to the emotion of it or what they no doubt want the emotion to be. For me it's yeah, especially when it's like her husband is presumably showing up, like he's going to marry her daughter. All of a sudden we're getting some like Jerry Springer stuff going on here. So far this episode's fallen in the 7 to 8 range. Teleporting, there was some teleportation, yeah. Yeah, and so in my notes for this episode, I do go over like the geography element of it. So I'll get into that in my breakdown for sure. Um yeah. But yeah, cuz based based on where they attack from and everything and where the elves show up from, like Elrond definitely had to circle behind the orcs and then come all the way back to meet up um with the rest of the elves. Pedro R, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. Do you think this episode is better or worse on the second watch? Rewatchability is the ultimate quality test, and so far every rewatch I've had has been worse. Um, so I am, fun fact about me, I am also really big on rewatchability when it comes to stuff. That's why. So a friend of mine is like massive fan of Usual Suspects, and I'm like, it's a good movie, but like I'll watch it maybe once every like 10 or 15 years because like so much of it is about the mystery, right? Like the reveal, you know. Um, and there's movies that are and shows that are like thought provoking or there's a great drama or great story to it, but it's not one of those that you'll revisit because it's kind of like Handmaid's Tale. Like my wife and I got sucked into Handmaid's Tale, which is not usually our style of the show to enjoy. But it's got a really compelling story, and it's well acted, well written, everything. And so we watched that, and like, there's no way I will ever rewatch that show. It's just too intense, and like we can't binge it either because it's like too much. Like I can handle one episode a week, and then it's like, okay, now I need to turn on like The Office or something for a palate cleanser. That being said, rewatchability in without the kiss, I feel like it's a pretty solid episode overall. Um, like I said, the Anatar Celebrimbor stuff for me is the MVP of the show. Like I really like, and the guy, Charles Edwards, who plays Celebrimbor, was not at all what I pictured Celebrimbor looking like. I very much saw in my head always was like the Shadow of Mordor-esque, not like the crazy lore stuff, forging a new ring and all that jazz, but just appearance-wise. That's what I always pictured. But Charles Edwards is a freaking phenomenal actor and does really well in this show. Same for Charlie Vickers. Like the two of them, as much as like season 1 was Prince Doran was I feel like was pretty much the MVP of that season. Like everyone seemed almost universally Doran was like the favorite character. But yeah, I think this season those two are the MVPs of this season. So yeah, I think like the Celebrimbor stuff and Anatar stuff, I really enjoy even on rewatch. And I think, did someone bring up the battle? Oh yeah, we'll get to the battle in a minute. Yeah, I had some thoughts on the battle too. Christopher Carbaugh, if Kiss was her forehead, would have been epic episode. Oh yeah, if you would have kissed her on the forehead or something instead. Yeah. Yeah, that was one of those things, like, as a book fan, it's like, that's his mother-in-law. Like, why? It's just one of those things. It's like a perfectly avoidable thing. So perfectly avoidable. I just don't understand. Oscar, thanks so much for a super chat. For me that hasn't read the books, the show is effing awesome. Well, good. I'm glad that you are enjoying it, and I'm glad that you joined us on the stream here and are chatting about it. So, yeah, what give me, we'll do favorite and least favorite part. So let me know in the chat favorite part of this episode. Go. Everyone chime in. Chime in. Raj, thanks so much for the super chat. Both armies and Siege of Eregion feel much smaller in scale than I imagined. Looks more like small scale skirmish than a great battle in most scenes. Yeah, I think that's something that I've kind of mentioned on and off throughout the season with breakdowns, and even into last season, where we tend to get like these big wide shots, but then go down to like closed sets, like small sets. With this one, the kind of the things that stuck out to me is that every time like soldiers of Eregion are involved, it's like the same few characters. Like that one captain, those like couple captains or whatever are in every spot. Like Celebrimbor shows up, gets hit by a boulder, they're there to grab him, and then like they're on the wall, Like they're just kind of everywhere, and it makes it feel really small. Like and again, I'll get into this in my breakdown, but I don't know even now how many people live in a region. Like how big is this city? Like it's a good size city, but I feel like that's not represented in population wise. Um, I think some CG, in those wider shots or like even a little closer than like the big wide shots. Like if we saw groups of people and got and forces, like I don't know, like is there 30 people defending a region? Is it 300? Is it 3,000? I have no idea. Because we only see like a spattering of people on the wall shooting arrows. And it feels like if there was only those people, I would think the orcs would overwhelm them pretty darn fast with some ladders. Um, yeah, yeah, and then yeah, we like by the end of it, the Linden elves, it seemed like there was down to like 30 people, which you would think they'd be pretty screwed pretty fast if they were forming lines and charging. Um, yeah, I saw some folks asking about Gil-galad too. I was wondering that too. Like when I first saw it yesterday, I like he's there at the beginning, gives Elrond the thumbs up. It's not a thumbs up, it's a nod. He gives him a nod, and then we don't see him until like the troll shows up. And I'm like, where's Gil-galad this whole time? Like I want to see more Gil-galad fighting with the spear. 100%. We got a little bit there. Yeah, I think it's just missing some of that representation of scale. Um, like we kind of got a sense with some of those wide shots looking out from the wall where you could see the orc army. So you got kind of a sense that the orc army was of decent size. And then we got like the horses charging. But as far as in a region, I feel like that's where it's really lacking because I have no clue, no idea how many people are in a region or like where this, the refugees or the civilians, like where are the civilians at? Like we just saw them kind of like running around in the background a little bit. Ulrika, thanks so much for the super chat. I have this entire season had the feeling that they will erase Celebrion and have Elrond end up with Galadriel. Hope not. I can't imagine how that would work. Like, especially, I mean, it's no secret. Like, you watch the show, they're pretty dependent. Well, is dependent the right word? Like, they seem very concerned with being in line or, like they seem concerned with being able to be viewed as attached to like the Peter Jackson films. And we know from those that Galadriel has a husband and it's not Elrond. And they end up in totally different realms. I can't imagine that they would actually have Elrond and Galadriel get together. My hope is that they do just play it off as, hey, uh this was just a distraction thing. Like it's like in Winter Soldier where Black Widow tells Captain America that people making out makes other people uncomfortable. And and that's what it is. I hope that like I hope we can just move past it and like let's just never speak of that again, right? And oh my gosh. Now I'm thinking like when Celeborn shows up, like does Elrond say like, so I kissed your wife, but I was doing it to give her a brooch. Oh man. That was the moment, by the way. In case you're wondering, that was the moment where I was like, I cannot wait to see what the chat says. Because goodness. Definitely my least favorite part of the episode. It's just a WTF moment. Michael Kelly, technically she's not his mother-in-law. He probably sensed Celebrian's egg inside her, so he really kissed Celebrian. Pretty sure that's not how that works. I appreciate the mental gymnastics that it took to type that out, though, Michael. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Mystic, thanks so much for the super chat. The Anatar Brimby scenes were great. Kissgate and the Kissgate and the battle seemed messy beyond belief. Everything was too convenient for my taste. Yeah, I do think the battle was a little too chaotic. Um I think it was better in some ways than some of the stuff we saw in season 1 in terms of, well, sorry, I don't want to like reveal anything prematurely, but uh, I think it definitely could have used some stuff to give us more bearings on where people were, and because it just kind of seemed like Elrond was just running around everywhere. Like there was really no, you know, not that like every battle has to have structure to it. Like sometimes it's chaos, right? But we just kind of like launched into the middle. Like we cut back to Eregion and they're like in the middle of the woods fighting, and it's like, did they charge there? What's going on? Where are the elves? Like everything's just kind of mixed up, and then they're fighting at the wall, and there's really no flow to the battle. I think that's what I'm trying to get at is there was no flow to the battle. Things were just kind of going nuts the whole time. Yeah, I think yeah, someone saying in the chat like when they don't have the Harfoots, like it's amazing how much better the show like clips along at a good pace. Even the stuff that I didn't care for, like the kiss and everything, like it's still going on at a decent pace. It doesn't feel like it grinds to that halt like it does with the Harfoots, in my opinion. Um, yeah, Danny. Yeah, it was. It just felt like general war things happening. Like, yeah, it's like there's just a bunch of battle. There were a lot of explosions, by the way. I saw someone else comment that there was uh lots of explosions. Yeah, Connor, it was hard to see who is winning. Like you didn't really have a barometer for who was winning. Like if there was any flow, uh, one side or the other. Um yeah, Scott Brimby getting decked not once but twice by catapults. Yeah. I thought that too. Like as soon as he walks outside, both times he gets his bell rung. Raptor Clap, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Really appreciate it. Do you think fantasy armies should be CGI'd to scale or have realistic troop numbers like in the show, thousands, not hundreds of thousands? Um, I think there's an in between because I don't think we actually saw thousands of real actors or anything. If that's kind of what you're implying with the orcs, I'm guessing. Um, I think the forces that we see of the elves defending Eregion, like the actual Eregion elves, I don't think that was realistic at all either, though. Like that was way on the low end of the spectrum. Um, yeah, I think in some of those wider-ish shots where we can see the wall kind of like zigzag into the background. Like maybe we got in the 20s, but it wasn't much. Yeah. We got Galadriel and Elrond making out before GTA 6. That's funny. I understood that reference. Yeah, I do wonder if it could have used some, I think some CGI armies for wider shots could have helped, you know, massage some of that feeling of it being smaller close-up shots all the time, like groups of little fighters, like, oh, here's Elrond, and you can see a couple dozen people fighting around him, and then here's this over here where there's a small group of people fighting. Yeah, I think some more of those wide shots. There was a couple, like I said, of the orcs, but definitely the elven side. I think we needed more. Debbie, this is the Debbie, by the way. So if you like, at the end of my my videos where I go through all my Patreon supporters, and I always end with "and Debbie" after all the crazy usernames, and then "and Debbie." This is Debbie. Shout out to Debbie. I stopped watching after episode 3 and only watch yours and random film tax reviews. That's enough. Vigo, can't wait to watch Interview with Vigo. Yes, it's a fun one. It's good stuff. Yeah, well, I'm glad my breakdowns can fulfill the curiosity, whatever curiosity you may have for the show. I'm glad that they can provide that for you. And thanks for coming to the live stream. That's awesome. And of course, this is being the Debbie. Thank you for your support for a long time. Like, we've had and Debbie on the end of the supporters list for quite a long while. So shout out to Debbie. And yeah, Vigo's coming on Tuesday, guys. Tuesday. It's in the pinned comment. All right, I'm going to end this poll. So 34% say 7 to 8, 28% 9 to 10, and then 24 for 4 to 6, 14 for 1 to 3. So, like, fairly solid. I think they probably lost a lot of points with the kiss, I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing. Forrest Dean, what was your favorite and least favorite moment? Oh, good question. That's a great question. Thanks again for hosting. Okay. Favorite? I know it's going to be a Celebrimbor Anatar moment. Possibly. See, now I'm trying to think lines that were said. I liked Celebrimbor figuring out the illusions and confronting Sauron. And I also liked Celebrimbor calling Sauron out on his crap. Like, he tried to play the woe is me card about, oh, Morgoth tortured me, or whatever the heck that's about, that we've heard before. I wasn't crazy about it the first time we heard it. And so hearing it again, I was kind of starting to roll my eyes when I saw that. And then Celebrimbor is like not hearing his sob story. He's like, no, look what you're doing to me right now. Don't give me your sob story. And he says, that line, "You truly are the great deceiver. You can deceive even yourself." It's pretty good. So yeah, that's my favorite. The two Charlies, like I said, MVPs of the season for sure. Least favorite was the kiss. Yeah, that's a super easy one. So weird. So weird. Oh yeah, Felix. Yeah, Rienne's moment of burning the machine was so pointless because it still kind of worked after. Yeah, it kind of did, didn't it? And I wasn't sure like what the barrel is supposed to be. Like, what's in the barrel? Is it like it's sitting on the machine? Is that for something? Whatever it was very explosive. Dashwood House, thanks for super chat. Didn't dwarves help Elrond to survive in the lore? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yeah, so in the books, the siege of Eregion's already going on. Elrond shows up with a host of elves from Lindon. Yeah, spoiler alert for the books. I guess I should say that. So he shows up, but Sauron's forces are just too great, and Elrond is kind of like in danger of being defeated and run over and, just crushed when the dwarves come from Khazad-dûm, attack Sauron's rear, and then Sauron's forces obviously have to combat the dwarves. They drive the dwarves back into Khazad-dûm, and the dwarves close the doors of Durin. But that allows Elrond and refugees from Eregion to escape north to Rivendell. So that's what happens in the books. So there you go. Celebrimbor's speech will be a Galadriel turning point. Yeah. I thought the speech was all right. Like I saw, people comparing it to like Sam's speech. And I think to an extent that's going to come up every time that someone talks about overcoming evil while battle footage is shown over it. But I thought it was good. Yeah, I don't think it like covered the same ground as Sam's speech or anything like that. Yeah. Like it's yeah, like it's a montage. It's a montage of footage. It's not like Lord of the Rings is the only movies to do that. Like the one that they did with Sam was iconic, obviously. So it's a really popular what was good about it was light driving away darkness. Yeah. Like the whole thing is like it's not strength, it's light, you know. And it just goes it kind of plays into that not seeking power and strength. Yeah. Jam Art, thanks so much for the super chat, my friend. Orc reason to leave Adar feels off for me. What will Sauron do offer different from what Adar is doing? Both sacrifice them for their end goal. Maybe Sauron power to deceive, I guess. Well, I think what's happening is basically Adar is kind of showing that he's not that much better than Sauron, really. I guess. Because he's sacrificing. I saw someone asking about my hat. It's a Space Wolves hat. This is a Warhammer thing. Space Wolves. They're based on like Norse mythology. Pretty cool. Yeah, I think the thing that separated him before was he just wanted them to live in peace, I guess, even though they were still like doing bad guy stuff. Yeah, I do think I saw some folks chatting that saying they didn't understand why Adar was doing that, like going so hard after Sauron. And I think in episode 1, Sauron in disguise, obviously, um, tells Adar that once Sauron, claiming that it's not him, once Sauron makes these rings, that he'll be able to dominate the orcs, like that the orcs will just fall under his service when he makes the rings. Um, I hope that's not the case. I actually hope the orcs just are loyal to Sauron because Adar's way isn't working, Clearly they're losing a lot of people in the battle. Um, yeah. B, what are your thoughts on scale? Visualization is great, but they have so much money and the scale seems like my Age of Empires session from 2014. Yeah, I think the show does struggle with scale. I've said this before in breakdown videos. Um, a lot of the times big moments in Numenor are like 20 people in a room. And same thing here, like the survivors of the Linden Elves, there's like 30 maybe, 25, something like that. Um yeah, I think scale is something that the show struggles with. And I don't know, like it's a big budget show. It is still a TV show. And so I'm curious for folks who've seen other like fantasy TV shows, how do these battles compare to stuff that's in like Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon? Like in terms of the scale. Um I try to think of fantasy things that I've seen. Like I said earlier, I've seen some Wheel of Time stuff. I've seen like The Witcher, which doesn't have as big a scale battles as this. Um yeah, so I do think it is something that it struggles with, and it would be good for whatever their next. I mean, I'm guessing that Numenor will be a big part of season 3, just because there's only one episode left. They're not going to get much farther with Numenor. Um, so yeah, I think some attention needs to go into the scale aspect for sure going forward. Last season of Game of Thrones was pretty awful for that. Oh, okay. Michael Kelly, thanks so much for another super chat, my friend. Favorite part, Celebrimbor talking to Galadriel toward the end about light rather than strength. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was a good moment. Leland Nally, thanks for the super chat. Eregion and Numenor appear to have a combined population of approximately 85 people, complete with on any feelings of scale and epicness, in my opinion. Yeah, it's just that, like I said, there's like these big, grand, wide shots, and both Eregion and Numenor, I actually like design of the big. Well, I love the Arendil statue in Numenor. I just think Armenelos seems like it's too congested, maybe that's just my small town roots that stresses me out just looking at Numenor. It almost seems like they're like too packed on top of each other. um but both of them, Numenor and Eregion, big beautiful wide shots, great big cities and everything. But then you don't get the sense that that is bustling and full of people and that there's different things going on, because then we see scenes play out. Like in season 1, there was like the same alleyway that 3 different key moments played out in. Like Sauron beat up some guys, and Isildur met with somebody in like the same alleyway, same pub. Like everybody hangs out at the same pub. Um, yeah, it could it could definitely do with some improvement on scale. Tyann, thanks so much for the super chat. How do you feel about making orcs more sympathetic characters, like they want us to feel bad for orcs? I get it to a point considering the lore and making of orcs, but it derails the evil in a way. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I got to with my whole thing about my video that I did on orc families, because there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, there's no orc women," or there's no orc babies," which isn't true. Like Tolkien straight up says there were orc women. They reproduced just like men and elves. So there's that. I think personally, I think you're onto something, and I kind of agree with you where it it's an interesting lore point. It's an interesting, you know, philosophical and theological discussion and everything. I just don't know if it's a productive in an adaptation where like the orcs are gonna be the bad guys, you know? So I just don't know if it's if it's worth, if the payoff is gonna be worth the screen time and everything. Um yeah. So that's kind of where I land on that. Um and I still don't feel bad for the orcs so much. Like, um, yeah, there's like the one guy, Glug, or yeah, I think it's Glug, played by Robert Strange, who I've had on the channel here. Good old Robert. Um, who's doing great. Like, I nothing against Robert's performance or the character or anything. I just don't know. Like, I'm limited in how much I'm gonna feel bad for orcs, because I know if you know they're gonna serve Sauron at some point. They're gonna be straight up bad guys. Indilwen Neriel, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Why are Rings of Powers elves so lame compared to Peter Jackson elves? Feels like Legolas from the movies could have taken Eregion by himself based on how they are. Interesting. I think Arondir is my favorite elf, honestly. Speaking of which, did anybody else notice that he showed up like when the river got dammed, and then we didn't see him again till the middle of the night? It's like, where the heck is he that whole time? Was your favorite elf? Oh, come on. If you don't see someone die on screen, then they're not dead yet. That's all I'll say about that. Like, until you, they're not gonna kill him off like that. Like, there's gonna be more shots. That's just movies 101, guys. Yeah, I'm curious, like, specifically which characters and what is it about what they do that makes you feel like they're lame? I'm not saying that they're all amazing, but I think some of them are really good. I do like Elrond, and I wish we had more Gil-galad with his spear. That's for dang sure. And I like Arondir. Sam Dunkaroos, thanks so much for the super chat. I loved Galadriel validating Celebrimbor and how the rings weren't his fault. I'm really going to need Corey on Rings and Realms to convince me on the kiss. Oh, man. Don't let Corey convince you. You tell Corey it's bonkers. I'll tell him too. It's bonkers. Like, I know, I can already tell you, like, Corey's gonna fall back to the, well, he's just passing her the thing. It doesn't mean anything. It's like, tell that to the music that's swelling. Oh goodness. It's such a weird it's such an unnecessary thing. That's the thing that gets me. It's like it's just it's not like you're written into a corner and that's the only option. That's where I'm at on it. Instant Messenger Sama, thanks so much for the super chat. Elrond's daughter got something to say about that kiss. My theory is that Galadriel approves of the marriage because she knows he's a good kisser. And she's like, I'm gonna respect it. I want my daughter kissed real good from now on. And Elrond's gonna kiss her real good. Direct quote. Direct quote. Alan, thanks for a super chat. This episode's writer must be from Alabama. Oh goodness. Pedro R, thanks for the super chat. Why do you think, from a creative perspective, they chose to never mention Celeborn? Like, for a casual viewer after 2 seasons, he will just show up. It's pretty strange. And now with the kiss, ... So he was mentioned once in season 1 when Galadriel and Theo, after like Mount Doom exploded, she mentions him. I said at the time that it would not surprise me if it was like a pickup line because it just feels so disconnected from everything else. Like she never mentions him at all. I thought back then it was kind of weird because like she's really mad about her brother dying, but then she never talks about her husband dying. And like if Sauron, like, indirectly, you'd think Sauron would have something to do with that. Morgoth definitely had something to do with it, with his disappearance or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so I said this on a previous stream. My theory, I have a theory for how they might do Celeborn. And Glorfindel fans are gonna hate it, but here it is. One option that they could do, because we know Glorfindel shows up halfway through the Second Age, along with the Blue Wizards, FYI, just for the record. It's when the Blue Wizards show up. They could actually say, yes, Celebrimbor died, but he's sent back the way that Glorfindel is. Like he's sent back, upgraded. He's an emissary, a real emissary, not a fake emissary like Anatar. So that's one option. But he's got, I mean, goodness. If he doesn't come back in season 3, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And yeah, Celebrian, like, they gotta have a kid at some point. Scott C. Arondir was tracking the Ents. Did he ultimately abandon that to save Galadriel? What happens to that plot line? Is it dead now? So he wasn't tracking Ents, if I recall correctly, because it's been a couple episodes. I think the Ents told him about the orcs marching through. And so he was like tracking the orcs. I don't think he was tracking Ents. The Ents, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there was anything left hanging with the Ents per se. Because they met with the Ents, he, had the nice little like forgiveness moment and everything. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that, and someone correct me in the chat if I'm misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure that he says that he's going for the orcs, that he's tracking and following the orcs, and like he and Theo part ways and everything. Yeah. All right. Leland Nally, dwarves got a scroll about the siege. Was it supposed to be over days and weeks? Felt like the entire battle was about 8 hours. Yeah, they got, like, in this episode, they got a scroll. Because I just assumed that was a message from Elrond as he was there. Now, there was a previous one, I think that was sent to the king, right? In the last episode? Wasn't that on the previously on? I'm really hazy too, like the timing, because because I have no idea what his name is, but the guy that Elrond sends to Khazad-dûm, he goes there and back before the next morning. Like, it's fairly early in the day, probably, when Elrond shows up and they have the little negotiation and he kisses Galadriel. And I was really thrown off by that. So I didn't even think about this. But he sends that guy off, says, go to Khazad-dûm. That guy comes back the next morning because Elrond just says, I'll make sure it lasts till, it stands till morning. So he went all the way to Khazad-dûm and back, basically while pulling an all-nighter. It's pretty fast. Hey, new member, Ola Schubert? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Welcome, welcome. Culinary Day Trader, thank you so much. $100 super chat. My goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sauron beats Darth Vader any day of the week. Yeah, okay. I will not disagree with that. I'm in favor. Thumbs up. Yeah, I do think it's kind of funny. Like, we'll chat about this here because this is $100 super chat. So I'm gonna run with this for a little bit here in honor of Culinary Day Trader. I do think it's funny when people pit like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings characters against each other because it's so completely different. I don't think you can do an accurate crossover in any way, shape, or form. Sauron did have like a little force choke moment there. It kind of seemed like the guy, started to pronounce him under arrest, and Sauron kind of twisted his arm. He didn't do this. He didn't do the choke thing, but he just kind of did he does like a spinny thing. But yeah, I was like, oh, he's like force choking that guy a little bit. Thank you again, Culinary Day Trader, for super chat. That's huge. Thank you so much. I Hatton's Guga. The ropes of the Ravager, what were they made of? Elrond really had a tough time cutting it off. Yeah, he did not have a Gondolin blade, that's for sure. Whatever he was using, that was substandard elven blades. Should have got the greatest smith of the age to make him a new sword. That's what he should have done. I'm very curious. Okay, if anybody has like medieval warfare knowledge, is the Ravager thing based on something real? Because I was very intrigued by the idea of driving in like anchors and then like slingshot pulling it back to yank out parts of the wall. I was trying to Google this, by the way, like old siege engines, and yeah, it was like a ballista There was like reversed. It was like a reverse ballista. But every siege weapon that I could find, um, it's always either throwing things or hitting something really hard. Is all the siege engines I can find. Okay, so nobody else find anything. Connor Flaherty, thanks for a super chat. Dark Angels greater than Space Wolves. Connor, have you been playing Space Marine 2? Because that game is really fun. That's the most fun I've had playing a shooter game since Halo 3 in college. Dating myself a little bit. All right. Raven Guard is greater than every other chapter. I love that we're getting some Warhammer debate in here. Thanks for the super chat, Lieutenant Haldmir. All right. Advait Joshi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Still don't understand why Durin needs to withdraw his entire army. Yeah, okay. Yes, this is what I was thinking too. Some of the decisions in the show are so superficial. The battle was a strong 6. Yeah, I wondered the same thing. Like why like they had like 9 regiments or companies or whatever, like groups out there outside of Casa Doom. Alex Rodriguez, Halo 3 in college is crazy. Oh gosh. Okay. So when did you play it, Alex? What were you like 3rd grade or something? Goodness. Make me feel super old. Here we go. I knew that would pop up. I knew at least one person would comment on that. Yeah, I wondered that too. I'm like, okay, so the king's gone a little cuckoo. He's, he's mowing down his own guys. You got all these armored up dwarves. Like clearly there's multiple hundreds of them. So like how many of those do you need to subdue a crazed king? Michael O'Hare, I haven't missed your super chat. I can see it coming up. It's in a couple here. I'm a little behind. I'm catching up though. Yeah, but I wondered that too. Like why he needs to withdraw the whole army, and not just send his second in command, That does bring up another thing. Like the elves were totally helpless without Celebrimbor or Anatar giving them instruction. Like you would think the captain or whoever would take charge, Like they just seemed like they're content to like run around like the sky is falling until someone tells them what to do. I feel like they need a better leadership structure in Eregion is what I'm getting at. Yeah, it makes the defenders of Eregion just hopelessly inept, says Scott C. Yeah. Michael Real, thanks so much for the $5 super chat. Michael's do the best mental gymnastics. Oh man. Leland Nally, you haven't seen Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon? That's wild. You should check them out. To be honest, they both run laps around Rings of Power in regards to scale, epicness, and real world feel. So this is just my personal preference, but I cannot get into the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, world because it's just so bleak, and I I'm not a fan of like the kind of gratuitous stuff that comes along with that world, and I'm not a particular fan of the idea that like it just seems like there's no real true heroes and good guys. It's all degrees of horrible. Like there's, oh, these people are less horrible than these other people. Um yeah. So like I've heard good things about both those shows, but I'd rather watch Rings of Power because tonally it's so much more in my wheelhouse than any of that stuff. So, yeah. Michael O'Hara can already see how annoyed I'll be when it's Sauron versus Galadriel standoff to exchange the 9 for Nenya when Anatar inevitably fails and gets killed. Exchange. So you think that like they'll trade the 9 for Nenya? Hmm. To exchange the 9 for Nenya when Adar inevitably fails and gets killed. Yeah, that was so the Adar thing was definitely something we were hypothesizing about a few episodes ago, I feel like. Maybe even back at the start of the season. Yeah, I think it's a matter of time before Sauron somehow is going to take control of the orcs. And like it's definitely planting the seeds for the orcs being disenfranchised with Adar's leadership. Because he's kind of crossed into like honestly to like what you would expect of Sauron, to just use him as fodder. Luis Montez, thanks for the super chat. Having Sauron speak ill of Morgoth is a little off. Gonna be weird to build the temple of worship to him. That's a really good point. That is a really good point, actually. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because the whole thing is Sauron convincing Pharazôn that, and again, spoiler alert. Sorry, I forget I have to that I should say that from time to time. Spoiler alert for the books. The whole thing is like, the Valar. It's all a lie, and there's one true being that's Morgoth, and you need to worship darkness. He's the one that can give you immortality, kind of thing. Yeah, so I wonder if, season 3 or whenever we'll see a total 180 on that. Like I would actually like that more than the sob story of like Morgoth was mean to me. Please feel sorry for me kind of thing. Like it'd be kind of cool to just see him pull a total 180 and talk about how great Morgoth is. I'd totally be down for that. Cuz it would just show that all the woe is me stuff is just him trying to manipulate people. And so when it comes to Numenor and he needs to manipulate Pharazôn, the same buttons aren't gonna, not gonna be able to hit the same buttons and be effective. So switching it up and being like, "Oh, Morgoth's the greatest. Like, what are you doing? You guys, revered the Valar for this long? That's absurd. You need to worship Morgoth. He's the one that can grant you immortality." All right. Raptor Clap, thanks so much for the $20 super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for being an honest reviewer. It's very rare to see a YouTuber posting fair criticism and praises on this show. Most YouTubers just criticize for easy likes. Your content is unmatched and it shows. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Raptor Clap. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna be honest with you guys and tell you what I like, tell you what I don't like, and let the chips fall where they may. Yeah, I didn't get to where this channel is by, playing for easy views, and that's not how I'm gonna operate at any point. So, yeah, there's things I like, there's things I don't like, and I'll let you guys know as my feelings toward the show, come with each episode. Tell us what you want, what you really, really want. Is that a reference? Did you pick that reference because I said that I played Halo 3 in college and now you know how old I am? And so you're like, oh, he'll know what this is because he's old. Yeah. Well, hey, so I just, again, we say this every once in a while on the channel, but whether you like the show, love the show, hate the show, dislike the show, wherever you fall, it's all good. Just treat each other with respect, and that's the fun of fandom. Like, disagreeing and arguing, um arguing respectfully can be fun. I argue with my friends about Lord of the Rings and this show all the time. All the time. But it's fun because we respect each other and it's never malicious, and that's an important distinction to have. I liked it. Galadriel Elrond kiss was weird, though. Yeah, it was weird. Monica loves the Spice Girls. Who doesn't? Bro makes a killing off these watch parties. This one's doing pretty good. This is probably the biggest one I've had. I don't know if I'd say it killing. I mean, I haven't really paid attention. I definitely appreciate the support. Luke the Duke, I will say this makes me wish they had made Lego sets for this show instead of just $500 behemoths that most people can't reasonably afford. I do wish that they came out with some of those more like medium and small size sets, because they've just been doing the big ones. So like the Rivendell up here, I saw someone ask earlier. Yes, I am going to build the Barad-dûr one. I have it right back over here. But I need to, it'll be after the season, just because it's so crazy doing breakdowns and everything, takes up so much time. But yeah, I'm going to film a video, around that. And yeah, hopefully maybe we'll see, like sometime in October, maybe, we'll do that. But yeah, I'm excited for it. But yes, I do wish that we got some of those smaller sets. Like, do I have one on my shelf? Like the Bag End one. Whoop, whoop, that I can't move my hand the right way. There we go. Bag End. That one. Much smaller than Rivendell, but still really cool. I wish they had some size like that. I think it would be great. Cause yeah, they just have been making like these great big $500 ones. And I'd like to see some in like the $40 range or even like $120 range, that like whenever they have Star Wars or Harry Potter or something like that, they seem like every so often they're coming out with small, medium, large, and huge ones. It'd be nice if we got more variety in the Lord of the Rings ones for sure. Gil-galad killed it in this episode. His short scene got me hyped. He was so little of it. It was so little of it. I gotta see more of him wielding that spear. He's one that I feel like we need more time with Gil-galad and like reason to really like him. I feel like Elendil, that's what I've always said, is Elendil and Gil-galad need to be really important to us before what War of the Last Alliance. And I feel like Elendil is well on that track. Like he's had enough moments and enough, you know, uh good character moments that like I'm invested in him. Gil-galad not as much because he's just kind of he shows up for like the meetings. Like he has meetings and gives orders and stuff. But I need more reason for him to endear himself to us. And I want to see more eyegloss spear action. Yeah. Oh, this is a good thing that I did notice right away. Like the first time I saw this, Gil-galad stabbing the troll, and we don't see the spear hitting just the face of the troll was unsatisfying. It was very oddly shot, yes, or edited or something. Because we didn't really get an establishing shot to show that he was anywhere close. Like he rode in and rode past and like turned around and everything, but we don't get any sense of place for like where Gil-galad is in relation to the troll. Because Arondir comes down. Like there's enough that happens that we should have had some kind of shot to show where Gil-galad is. But yeah, because he just kind of like stabs down, and then you get the reaction shot of the troll, and it feels very disconnected. Raptor Clap, thanks again for another super chat. Commenting again to let you know you're not old yet. Well, it's not. What is it? It's very early in the morning, so I have to think of quotes. Off the top of my head here, it gets tricky. It's not the years, it's the mileage, right? That's the Indiana Jones one. Scott C, thanks for the super chat. Kind of off topic, but I got to know. Out of the various versions you have on the shelf, what's your favorite binding for Lord of the Rings? Ooh. I do really like the Folio Society one here. Whoop. There we go. These green ones, they have like a really cool look to them. The other one, so another unboxing that I'll be doing here soon. I love that you asked this because I happen to have it sitting down here. Also in the shrink wrap, it's the new deluxe edition. Really nice edition with illustrations by Alan Lee. And I just love the blue and gray. The blue and gray color scheme. It's real nice. I like it. So I'm really excited to open this one up. Look at the illustrations. Wow. Okay. I didn't even look at this before. 60 watercolor paintings and more than 50 black and white chapter opener illustrations, which is awesome. I will take all the Alan Lee artwork I can get. Yeah. I'm a sucker for Tolkien books or books of any kind. I also like this big red one here, the single volume illustrated by Tolkien edition. That's a cool one too. Yeah. So on the spot, I'm going to answer those. Oh, I do really like these other Alan Lee illustrated editions. Whoop, there we go. This 4-pack of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. That's a good one. That came out a couple years ago. Raptor clap at this point with my 4th donation. Probably should add on Patreon after 3 years. Ooh, feeling like Elrond right now. Oh, man. Well, I appreciate your support. However, in whatever form is convenient for you. Appreciate it. Luis Montez, Stranger being Gandalf / Blue Gandalf would be really rough, but how would it be possible to defend the show if Dark Wizard is Saruman? That even breaks PJ's Hobbit movies. Yeah, like, as much as I don't want Stranger to be Gandalf, because I think of the 5 wizards, he's number 5 on the list, that, like, if you rank them by what sense they make. Saruman would be at least number 3. Yeah. He would be number 3. The Blue Wizards are 1 and 2. Saruman's number 3, then Radagast, then Gandalf, in the order that they would make sense. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if the Stranger is Gandalf and the Dark Wizard is Saruman, it makes no sense that Gandalf would be surprised by Saruman's treachery later. Like, if the Dark Wizard's a bad guy and it's Saruman, like, wouldn't millennia later, wouldn't the suspicion, like, kind of have a higher baseline, you know? Could he really be surprised if Saruman turns bad? Yeah, it'd be really odd, because it'd be like, oh yeah, remember when you were evil? When I didn't know my name and stuff? Yeah. I can't imagine. Well, so we'll see. We'll see what happens, but if Stranger's Gandalf, then I don't think Blue Wizard can, or Dark Wizard can be Saruman. I think he's got to be one of the other blues. One of the blues. Thomas Potts, R.I.P. Bob. I love how many of you called him Bob in the comments when he came in too. Oh man. Yep. Damrod, because the Gondorian name doesn't make any sense. I called him Bob, and you guys embraced it, and I love you guys for that. Nenya doesn't quite match Adar's look. Oh yeah. No, she's a little blingy for his attire. Not quite goth enough, you know? If it came in black, does it come in black? Leland Nelly, thanks. Nally. Leland Nally, thanks for the $10 super chat. Thought experiment, you're back in 2021. Oh, this is fun. And you have 2 buttons. One assigns Rings of Power to the current showrunners. Button 2 randomly assigns it to another set of showrunners ready to do it. Which do you press? Whoo! Random, though? Like, I can't pick? Oh. Honestly, it's kind of tough. Can I hit a button that, like, lets me change plot points and, like, story? Because that's the button I want to hit. Can I push button 3 where we lose the Harfoots? How about button 3 cuts the Harfoots and the Stranger out of the story? No offense to the actors playing them, by the way. Like, I think especially the guy who plays the Stranger, Daniel Wayman, I think does a really good job. I just don't want him to be Gandalf, and I and I think that story, like, really, really slows things down whenever they cut to the Harfoots. It slows the story down. Um, Steven Spielberg, I mean, okay, yeah, like, who wouldn't want Steven Spielberg? Um, so here is one thing that here is one thing that I will always appreciate about this show is going back to the Game of Thrones thing, because I remember back when it was announced, the big concern was the Game of Thronesification of Middle Earth. Because remember there was like the Bezos quote or something that said, you know, we I want the next Game of Thrones or whatever. And people kind of like ran with that. Um, to say, oh, now it's, there's going to be all this gratuitous sex and violence and stuff. And I think for the most part, they've kind of stuck with that like PG-13 realm ish. I think it is a little bloodier and stuff. Um, but yeah, if you're just doing a pure Russian roulette, like, it's possible you actually get a lot worse result and a lot bigger mismatch tonally. Um, which plot point wise, like, I clearly have my gripes plot point wise, but if there was like, what's the chance that if you hit that roulette button that you end up getting a Game of Thrones and you end up with like Borman script type stuff in there? Like, that's worse than any like story deviation in my mind. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of a non-answer, I guess, to your question. I still think I push button 3 and like we get the hobbits. We write the hobbits out of there. Oh man. Um so does Celeborn now kiss Saruman now? LOL kidding. Well, neither of them are in the show, for one thing. And Celeborn is Galadriel's husband, so I hope not. I hope he shows up and kisses Galadriel. Crazy thought, I know. I know it's wild. I'm going to go out on a limb with my hot take and say I would like for Galadriel to kiss her husband. I'm sure that will blow up on Twitter and I'll get canceled for that take. But I would like Galadriel to kiss her husband Celeborn. There we go. Preposterous, Demetra says. Oh, man. Mystic, for Wild Thoughts, Adar puts on Nenya, heals himself, and turns out to be Celeborn the entire time, and then dies for real against Sauron. Um, that's an interesting theory. That's pretty wild. I don't think I would like that. Like the idea that Celeborn is an orc and like evil and stuff. That's pretty dark. And then he dies for real. That doesn't match. He needs to be alive for real. That's what we need. I love Maz 29197 in the chat. I just reached the part where the kiss happened. WTF. Oh man. I'm missing. Let's see here. Let's see. Let me. Um. Joshua, I thought Elrond was going to give her the ring back. Yeah, I don't know. Like the ring wouldn't have done her much good, though. Really. Yeah, we're going pretty long with today's live. Actually, we're over 3 hours right now. Like we're cooking. Good job, guys. We're doing it. Yeah, no, I know. Like I saw some folks commenting. Like I get that it was in order to pass off the brooch. Like I get that. I get it. I don't think that like fully excuses him making out with his mother-in-law. Um like I, I just keep going back to surely that wasn't the only option of the way to like have him help her escape. That's what I just keep circling back to. And like I said, I hope it's like it goes nowhere and it's not like I could oh my gosh. I just thought of the fact that like we'll probably have shipping stuff about this for like the next 2 to 3 years probably. Oh my goodness. So many shippings. The only shipping that I'm interested in is Kierdan's shipping. Building ships, baby. That's the kind of ships I want to see built. The Kierdan kind. All right. Ty Grenier or Grenier, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. Much appreciated. What scene or character from the books would you like to see illustrated, whether it has no existing art or current art that thrills you? Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so I am hmm. I'm trying to think of characters that don't have art. That's a got to be a pretty small list. I think I'd like to see more takes on Glaurung maybe cuz he might be my favorite villain, Glaurung. He's just so malicious and evil. It's awesome. Awesome in like a terrible way. He he brings so much ill to people, but he's such an awesome villain. Um, it's part of the reason that Children of Hurin is my favorite. You know, aside from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, like of all the other stories, Children of Hurin's my favorite because it has Glaurung and Morgoth both in it, which is fantastic. Oh, we got some more super chats popping up. Thanks, guys. Crownless King with the $10 super chat. He said, Melian of the Valar, do they not have the right to use the word Maiar? That was weird. Yeah, so I looked this up because I caught that too. And the word Maiar or Maya, which is the singular form, Maiar is the plural, that word in either form does not show up in the pages of the Lord of the Rings or the appendices. So, from what we know, they probably don't have the rights to say Maiar. Now, Melian is mentioned one time in all of the Lord of the Rings. And when she is mentioned, she is called Melian of the people of the Valar. So, like, not saying she is a Vala, but she's of the people of the Vala. So, like, subservient to the Valar, which is what the Maiar are. So it's a little bit of that poetic language. So he just didn't say of the people of. So like of the Valar could have two different meanings, right? Like she could literally be a Vala, or she could be of the Valar, as in like subservient to them. So she's like part of the people, subservient to the Valar. So yeah, it definitely perked my ears up when I heard it too. Because I was like, wait, did she just get upgraded to Valar instead of Maiar? But I think that's just my guess. I think it was possibly in reference to because it's the only time, if you open like your Kindle app and search for Melian, she shows up one time, and that's the phrase Melian of the people of the Valar. Oh, Leland Nally's got an addendum to the thought experiment. The spirit of Tolkien stays intact. All the random showrunners are qualified and passionate Tolkien fans. Then you're not getting very random at that point, you know? Um I mean, sure, let's get crazy. Let's hit the button. Why not? Give it a shot. Why not? What'd be really crazy is if like you still get to keep the existing show. It's like, what? Let's just that's what we'll do. Like, let's just take all your random showrunners here, and we'll give each of them a show. Um, Sam Dunkaroos, are the current showrunners not Tolkien fans though? I think they are. Yeah, I don't buy into the whole like they're out to destroy Tolkien and stuff, like the crazy rage stuff that you see. I don't buy into that at all. Like you think that people sign on to this, to a Tolkien adaptation, and like they're like I obviously have issues with the story. I said so in my season 1 review, and as we've gone through all these breakdowns and stuff, I clearly have issues, but I don't think that there's like this malicious intent to undermine. I think there's just some instances where I would have liked to see it play out much differently, and where I think mistakes were made, in my opinion. But yeah, no, I don't buy into like that they're sitting around a room, like, how can we the kiss was malicious. Touche. Touche. The kiss was malicious. Oh man. No, I don't know. Maybe it's just the type of person I am, and I'm more an optimist, or I like to assume the best in people, but I don't think like they're sitting around a table like, how can we tear apart Tolkien today? I don't think that's yeah. Um I love that you brought up the kiss being malicious. That's really funny. That's the best argument yet I've heard. Good job. Forrest Dean, $5. Thanks so much for the super chat. Wanted to give a shout out to the mods for keeping this place respectful. Every fandom has its problems. Is its problem people, but this space is by far the most calm. Oh, nice. And he added a butterfly there. I like that. Yeah, we try to keep it cordial here. Yeah, and even if you like despise the show, as long as you're, you know, putting forth your opinions in a respectful way and not bashing on each other, then we're good. Legendary Story says, can we go back to the time frame when they kiss? I want to see your facial response. So because I actually saw this yesterday, you can't see my legit facial expression. I could try to recreate it for you. It was probably something like that, I'm guessing. Like what is the facial equivalent of what? Or huh? What the crap? What? Why? um that was not enough. I'm not an actor, so I can't recreate it. But I mean, I was laughing at the chat because I knew it was coming. And so I was like, "Oh gosh, what's the chat gonna be like?" Yeah, the kiss was what I was wondering how the audience would react before the episode started. And you guys did not disappoint. John Larson, thanks so much for the $20 super chat. Much, much appreciated. Um, in the books, if the elven rings were made in secret, how did Sauron know about them to create his ring while chanting 3 rings for the elven kings? Ah, this is a great deep cut trivia question. Okay, so Sauron doesn't speak the entire ring verse when he makes the one. It's only the ending. So I kind of, just because I want an excuse to read the black speech, I'm gonna bring it up because I love reading the black speech. So yeah, so it's just, the famous 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all in the dark, just bind them. That's all that's like inscribed on the ring, and that's pretty much all that it's implied that he says. Like, so he doesn't. I would assume that when he puts it on is when he discovers. I'll have to double check if it says for sure. But that, I think it's when he put it on is when he would discover that there are 3 others. Because then he would be aware. That's how they're aware, is when he puts it on. But they hear the last lines, and it's after the fact that the beginning of the poem is made. So, and that's one of the things, like, I'll be really bummed if that's not in this show at some point, for him to create the ring and to put it on, or like, even if it's while he's creating it and he starts saying the black speech and then they hear it, the Ajnaj Durbatuluk, Ajnaj Gimbatul, Ajnaj Trakatuluk, Agbur Zum Ishi Kripatul. That's so fun. That's so fun. The black speech. Like, come on. If they don't have Charlie Vickers doing that with, like, deeper Sauron voice. Ajnaj Trakatuluk. Then what are we even doing here? Right? DJ 278, thanks for the super chat. The individual storylines still feel disjointed, so it's hard to understand how they relate to each other. Eregion and Khazad-dûm only make sense. Yeah, those are like the 2 closest together, and they connect the most, right? So I think that's why, honestly, like, Kiss aside, this might be. I did really like the Elendil stuff, though, in the previous episode. The Sauron Anatar stuff is what carries the episode for me. Like, the battle stuff is all right. But man, the Celebrimbor Anatar stuff is where it's at. I feel like I need to rewatch. Was it 5? They had the good Elendil stuff. I feel like you take the kiss out, and all of a sudden, my feelings toward this particular episode like go up considerably. I mean, there's still like the Anatar Celebrimbor stuff overshadows the kiss for me, for sure, because it's that good. Oh, is there a preview out for next week's episode? Where's that? Is that on Amazon, or is that like on Prime, or is that on like YouTube or something? It's on Amazon. Okay. As you wish. If I can find it. I don't see it. You got to guide me to it. Oh, inside episode 7. That's like a 10-minute video though. So we're definitely getting some Numenor. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Okay, that wasn't too long. Yeah, Numenor is even like pretty disconnected this season. And this is something I was thinking about over the last few days. Like what I would do if I've kind of thought about this as a video concept. I don't know if I'll do it or not, but like if I was given a magic wand to like do the show with the rule that I had to hold on to as much like casting and story elements as possible. And one of the ideas I had is maybe you wait until season 2 to even introduce Numenor. And like season 1, you do the rings. You get into the ring story. I'm very curious to see how Numenor plays out, because that's one where I feel like in some ways it's gone really, really fast into now it's like Kingsmen versus Faithful, but we haven't gotten. I feel like that just hasn't been established really well. Lorenzo, thanks for the super chat. About the Balrog, the show implies Sauron is aware of him and is part of his schemes. Do you like the idea? What about making the Balrog speak for once? I mean, theoretically, Balrogs could speak. It's kind of creepy that they don't. Like, they're kind of scary, and when they're just like big old monsters and stuff. Honestly, even if they were more humanoid like they are in the books, they'd still be pretty creepy if they didn't speak. Yeah. So it definitely shows that Sauron is aware of the Balrog because he sees him in the brazier. I don't know if he's part of his schemes or if it's Sauron in that moment can interpret, can tell that the Balrog is there, and he just knows like, okay, these guys are on the path to ruin. I don't need to do any, like, my work's done here. These guys are screwed because this Balrog is here. I don't think it's like Sauron summoning the Balrog or anything like that. I don't think he's like casting a spell in that moment. Um, like I think Sauron learns through some kind of premonition or some kind of sight that he can feel and interpret the presence, and that's what we see represented in the brazier is like he's aware of the Balrog now. Yeah, John Sleeves. Yeah, it should it should be a very long time according to the timeline. Um, the Balrog wakes up. Yeah, it is 1980 of the Third Age that he shows up. So yeah, unless they're like majorly condensing and bringing the fall of Khazad-dûm, which would be really soon if they did it like this season or next season. That'd be pretty nuts, I think. Momux Hagi. Yeah, the episode's been released. We already watched it and everything. We are kind of wrapping up our chat here. Mateo says, poor Mordania. Okay, so I promise I'm not some like sick person, but I kind of thought it was awesome how Sauron disposed of Mordania. Because he had been chatting her up so much and like being all buddy buddy, possibly romantic, and then when it came down to it, he's just like, "Zoop. She's dead, so that I can put Celebrimbor in a, you know, in this tight spot with his own people and get him captured." Um, yeah, I I didn't know why she was there either. Not like in the show period. Like it makes sense that Celebrimbor has a group of smiths, right? We know that from the books. It's a group of smiths, the Gwythy Myrdain, the people of the jewel smiths. Um, but specifically in this episode, she's just kind of hanging out on the wall, loitering, you could say. Like she's hanging out there. She doesn't have a weapon. She's not like helping shoot arrows at the orcs. She's not even wearing armor, which is just a safety hazard. Um, and she just kind of like pointed out things when they happen. So when they start damming the river, she's like, "They're damming the river." It's like, "Yeah, that's why he said the ground assault thing." And then later she's like, "They have a Ravager." It's like, "Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks, Merdania. Thanks for the update. Let me know if you observe anything else." Road to Tar Valon. Hey, that's a I think that's a Wheel of Time thing, right? That's I think. Is that a Wheel of Time reference? We were talking about Wheel of Time before the show, before the episode. Um, what moment did you like more? Gil going ham with the grappling hook, or when the warhorse kicks the absolute cognition out of that orc? I have discovered that I'm kind of a sucker for horses kicking something really hard, kicking like a bad guy really hard. Because I loved when Barrack impaled the orc by kicking it, and he impaled it on like a tree branch. I was like, I'm a simple man. I'm gonna get a chuckle out of that every time it happens. Someone gets kicked really freaking hard by a horse. So the Gilgalad, was it Gilgalad who had the grappling hook, or was it one of the other guys? I couldn't tell. Um, like that was okay. The grappling hook. I enjoyed more like the little bit that we got of Gilgalad wielding Eyegloss and going kind of crazy with them. And I just want like a significant amount more of him with Eyegloss just mowing down orcs. That would be cool. Has Isildur been chilling in the woods for the last 3 episodes? I can only assume so. Or at Pelargir, I think. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll take a couple more questions here from the chat, but we're gonna wrap up here soon because we're already going 3.5 hours. I'm gonna get a breakdown video ready for you guys. Sir Shandy, I'm a sucker for Gil-galad's spear. He would make Achilles proud. Yeah, I love Eyegloss. It looks cool. Dashwood House. They really need to show Gil-galad more. Yeah, I agree. I kind of got into that a little bit earlier, but I think we need to spend more time with him and kind of get more invested in him as a character the way we are like Elendil. Because they, spoiler alert for the books, they have very similar and very closely timed endings. Yeah. Michael O'Hara, more excited for your breakdown videos than the actual episodes. They're getting to the point where they're almost as long. So apologies for that. Like last week, it was like a 40-minute breakdown. I haven't even, I didn't ask Taylor, my editor. Shout out to Taylor, by the way, who has been killing it on these breakdown videos and everything. I didn't get the final run count because I record the audio of my crazy ramblings and then toss it over to him. And I haven't heard how long this one is. Yeah, which I'll be adding more to it, obviously. But so far, I don't know like how much I have, and I don't want to like temper it with the knowledge. Like if he says, "Oh, hey, by the way, you've already gone on for 15 minutes." I don't want to be like, "Well, I'll just cram everything else into 5." Like, who knows? Who knows what we'll end up with? But we'll end up with something in a number of hours from now. Summarize how you felt about this episode with 3 words. Oh, 3 words? That's so few words. Um, how about good, no kiss? It's good, but I didn't like the kiss. That's what that is short for. Oh. Yeah, it is kind of a situation where, wow, that really escalated quickly, says Doctor Doom. How quickly they spill on you that Dorn the Third is now slaughtering his own people is wild. That is kind of wild. Ecthelion of the Fountain, please no kiss. Oh, good minus kiss. There you go. Luis has got it. Better without kiss? Yeah. You know what? I didn't even do a poll. I was thinking when that was going on. We're going to keep it simple. Elrond Galadriel kiss. Good idea, bad idea. It seemed to be a nice kiss, though. Oh my gosh. That's funny. Going to see the results of this poll. All right. It's like my middle school kiss. Oh my gosh. 90% say it was a bad idea. Sofa wants to know the reasoning behind the good idea. 10% more than it should. Maybe they're just, some people just want to watch the world burn, you know? And there's about 10% of them, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. Those 10% are welcome here too. I don't have to agree with them, but you're all welcome here. 90-10 is a pretty darn strong split. Alan, thanks so much for the super chat. Minus the hierarchy, who wins, Sauron or Melkor? I mean, they're different. Like their difference in being level is kind of integral to their characters. So I don't think you can separate that. I think Morgoth wins for sure. I do like that they're completely different in their approach. And they got to that actually in the episode. They kind of referenced that, how Morgoth is seeking to destroy everything and Sauron wants order. That's straight from the books, that he's all about order, but it's order through domination. Oh, this is funny. Luis, I don't know 90% of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than 10% of you half as well as you deserve. Oh man, that's funny. All right. Well, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Because I've got like I said, I've got a little bit of the breakdown already written and recorded from some of those early thoughts, but I need to go back through this thing with a fine-tooth comb, as I do. And who knows, maybe here in a few hours we can get you a video out. But yeah. In the meantime, we've only got one episode left. So next week, and then sometime after that, I'll do a review on the entire season. So next week we'll really focus on episode 8. I'm sure we'll end up doing a longer watch party like this, because we'll talk about the season as a whole a little bit. I'll let you guys guide the conversation as I always try to do. But for now, yeah, I think overall pretty solid episode. Annatar Celebrimbor stuff, really like that. Love the Annatar Celebrimbor stuff. Battle stuff, like it did the job. It was, battle stuff wasn't like blowing my mind away. And then like you take that kiss out, we're in business. Strongest parts of the show are Eregion and Khazad-dûm, and we were there for the whole episode. And it shows. Very curious to see what you all think with episode 8. And I'm curious what the future holds, especially with Numenor going forward to season 3. That's where my attention is focused after that. Okay, I'm going to put this out there. Luke the Duke, this is the last one I'm going to respond to. He's talking about the rage bait videos of the Elrond Galadriel kiss. if there isn't one that has that image of them kissing with the title "Kiss the Lore Goodbye," then I don't even know what we're doing here. Then it is just like, what's the point of even doing the rage bait? Come on. I probably shouldn't be giving out titles like that, but it's a pretty good. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, well, hey guys, have fun out there. Be nice to each other. Be kind to one another as we debate these. Yeah, my dad jokes are showing. Of course they are. I'm an old man. I played Halo 3 in college. We established that earlier. Yes. So have fun out there and have fun chatting about this episode. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, let me know in the comments what you liked, favorite thing, least favorite thing. And I'll get to work on this breakdown and see what other small little details we might have missed in our view. And yeah, we'll see you next week for the final one of the season, for episode 8, the finale. We'll do another watch party same time next week. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.